Well, Adcock, I feel like uh, had pretty good stuff, just didn't locate. And I would have to say probably the same with McIntyre. And you can't do that down there with that lineup, especially with the wind howling out like it was. So I think they'll be fine. And, as of right now, I mean, Adcock, we may use him on Friday. It's hard to say.
Up.
Hey Dave, how you doing?
Good.
Um, hey, how would you say Holland's pitched for you this year, and how do you like him in that Friday night spot so far?
Well, it hasn't been too big for him. I think he likes it. He knows it's always going against, at least most always going against the other team's number one pitcher, and uh, he seems to step up to that challenge. He's been really good. He's been consistent. He throws strikes. He competes. He's got three or four different type pitches. He's got a couple different type of breaking balls, and when he's on, he's really good.
And you look at Alabama. I didn't look through all their games, but I know Hess started last Friday. What do you think of him? And he looks like he's there, and he leads them in innings and stuff. What do you think of him? And maybe what challenges he presents to your all's lineup?
Yeah, he's obviously really talented. They have three legitimate starters. What I mean by that is a lot of teams at this time of the year are looking for that third guy. I mean, they could run all three of those guys out there on a Friday night and be fine. Their Sunday guy, hit lefty, really good, really talented, projected really good draft, and Holman the same. He's got a great arm, throws. He might have the best velocity, but they all have really good arms. They can pitch, and Hess has just been a consistent pitcher for them. And what problems does he present? He's just got good stuff. And when he makes a mistake or leaves the ball out over the plate, we need to make good contact. And if not, it can be a long night.
Yeah, I got a couple more, but I'll turn it back to Oliver. Thanks.
Andrew Ellis.
Yeah, coach, it seems like there's not really a ton of let up in the Alabama lineup. Like all their guys have pretty similar numbers top to bottom. Just how taxing is that when you have to face that so many times throughout a 3-game series?
Yeah, we felt this before the season started that Alabama was going to have one of the best teams in our division. Probably, if not the most experienced team, real close. Older team, guys that have been in their program from 3 or 4 years. Even the sophomores played a lot as freshmen. The juniors obviously have played a lot. They've just got an older team experience, or don't get rattled. And they got after us last year. They beat us the last 2 ball games over there at their home field, and then beat us in the tournament. So we know what we're up against. They're tough to get out. They're experienced, and they started on the road at Florida and ran into obviously a really good Florida team. And then last weekend, 3 tough games could have gone either way, and they scratched out a win on Sunday.
And with Hagen Smith, of course, winning the game is going to be the main priority. But is there a thought to maybe try and get creative with the way you guys use him, just to see what all works and what doesn't?
Well, I mean, I don't know what you mean by creative. We just bring him in when we feel like the game's on the line, or if we have a chance to win it. I mean, if we're down 4 or 5 runs, we're not going to bring him in. You could see him start this weekend. We'll just, in this league this year, and it might be this way going forward. And I've said it many times, with SEC is not going to be a young league much anymore. The teams are all going to be really talented as always, but now they're going to be older than normal. It just looks like, with transfer portals and all that you can do to bring in players. Just winning games on the weekend are going to be big, whether you win the series or one. If you get a chance to sweep somebody, that's huge. So we're just going to try to win the game that's in front of us.
Daniel.
Coach, there's going to be probably a good amount of wind, at least on Friday. Just kind of what kind of challenges does that present to the team, even at home? And what do your pitchers need to do to kind of rebound from their struggles last week in Alex Box?
Yeah, there is going to, it's projected to be really windy Friday evening. It looks like the wind during the storm is going to be more out of the southwest. storms roll through, it's going to be more of a westerly wind, which is going to be probably blowing out the left, 15 to 25, maybe more miles an hour. So who knows? Obviously you got to keep the ball down. It's nice if you can strike a few guys out, keep that ball from being put in play a little bit. We've played in the wind here before. You just figure it out during pregame and you try to handle it. As far as what went on the weekend down there in Baton Rouge, you got to be better. You got to be sharper. You got to throw the ball where you want it and make them hit your pitch and work ahead in the count. And really in game 2 and 3 on Saturday, we weren't ahead in the count as much as we needed to be. And that caused a lot of problems.
Robert.
Coach, you talked about those games in Tuscaloosa last year. I'm curious with the way your team performed, do you have any maybe added motivation to come out and beat them this time around?
Last year's last year, but you gotta use it a little bit just to, talk about the experience. I mean, at the time it was the last series of the year and we weren't playing real well. Obviously, we were scuffing around a little bit, fighting for wins. We had just lost couple of games in a row to Vandy here, and Vandy had a good team and they pitched us extremely well. It didn't go great. And then went over there and won game 1, which is a Thursday game, and then lost 2 straight because we just weren't scoring at the time, pitching that great. Couldn't get the big hit. It kind of continued on into the tournament. But, I think what we did do was leave that tournament over there in Hoover and come back and regroup. And we knew we had a talented team. So honestly, I don't think it was a bad thing losing. I would have liked to have won them all and won the Western Division. We didn't. And but we did come back, kind of figure it out, and went to Omaha and won a few games. So, I think that maybe the losing, kind of gave us an opportunity to figure out, hey, how much longer we want to play, and our guys wanted to play.
Coming back around, Hutch.
You gave Slavens the day off on Tuesday and said he had a really good BP. I'm curious, he kind of gotten off to a slow start in SEC play. Was that maybe purposeful to try to maybe get him refocused? Do you think that maybe just what he needed?
I think sometimes you need to take a day off and just kind of watch from the side and relax. And, that was his day to do it because we, for the most part, except for Jared Wagner, that he's the only guy I really haven't given at least one day off, I think, throughout the lineup. So I just felt like Brady could use this week to gain his strength back and hopefully, have a really good weekend for us and shuffling up, some things and, the lineup the other day, I think was a good thing. And I feel like Brady he'll be ready to roll tomorrow.
And Stovall's also gotten off to a little bit of a slow start in SEC play. What are you seeing from him?
Yeah, I think he's a little more anxious than normal. I mean, he's a guy that's pretty patient. He's been ahead in the count and he's gone after pitches and maybe overswung a little bit, gotten himself out, flying out, take a walk. I mean, he's a guy that knows the zone really well and maybe trying to do a little bit too much. And I don't think that's him. I mean, other than that, I think he's going to be fine.
Bob closes out.
Dave, you look at the top of Alabama's bat, and the guy, I guess Williamson and Pinckney hitting 360, and I think Sheldon's got 11 home runs. They're batting 318 as a team. Just what do you make of their top hitters and just their, the depth of their lineup?
Yeah, the lineup's good. Those guys are tough outs, hitting for average. There's some power in there. I mean, they're hitting, if you just go at, the season so far, they're 10, 12, 15 points higher in team batting average than we are. They've got more home runs than we do. Their ERA is lower than ours by a lot. And so we know that we've got our hands full. Then you have to preseason, non-conference. it's not always apples to apples because of who you play. But I think with their team, it doesn't matter. They're just good, and they're going to be a major challenge for us and for every team in the league going forward.
And you touched on this the other night. You guys have been such a good home team, especially with these SEC teams. You know, there doesn't seem to be much margin for error against anybody. How important is it to keep playing well at home like you guys have been?
Yeah, I mean, it's big because, you look at where we have, the road trips that we have ahead of us, at Ole Miss, at Mississippi State. I think we're at Georgia, at Vandy. There's really, you're looking at those series on the road. It's hard to say, yeah, we're going to go in there and win 2 out of 3. So you have, when you're at home, you got to take care of your home field. If not, you got to go make it up somewhere else.
Yeah, I think I'm good. Thanks, Dave.
Mhm.
All right, Coach, thanks for the time.
Okay.